Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And some of my subscribers have awared me of the fact that Jerry Ward has gone back to making some of his incoherent rants. So I'm joined once again by Jerry Ward's Cocoa Puff. Yes, he's back. Found him. Alright guys. Protein and amino acids are not the same thing. It's like a protein is like a carrier oil, like steroids for amino acids, but it's not actually amino acids. Get the hell off me. Alright, let me go ahead and put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's see if we can bring some clarity to this, a little bit more intelligent conversation. Alright guys, yes, that is kind of where he went, and he did a whole video about meal timing and the bros versus the science people, and he completely just made up a bunch of silly shit in there. But that was one of the things that caught me early on, and we'll get to the meal timing stuff, but that was one of the things that caught me early on in this, is that he actually said, you know, you people have to understand about the amino acid pool. And he actually said, he literally said that protein and amino acids are not the same thing. I'm going to say that again. He said they are not the same thing. Now, while technically true, the way the analogy that he gave was literally insane. He said, you know, it's like, think about it when you inject testosterone, right? Because he always had to bring it back to something you inject in your body. Because everything Jerry does is always about injecting something into your body. So he's like, when you inject testosterone, the actual carrier oil is not the testosterone. It's just what's used to deliver it. And he tried to say that that's how protein and amino acids are similar. And it's like, Jerry, protein isn't some foreign substance that carries amino acids to you. All right. In the case of what you described, the carrier oil is what the testosterone is suspended in. And it's a completely separate chemical substance not made out of testosterone, right? It's just an oil, grapeseed oil or whatever. And the testosterone is actually a totally separate substance that is mixed into it, and that's what's used to get it into the body. All right. With protein and amino acids, the protein is made out of amino acids. That is what protein is. There is nothing else in protein. All right. Protein isn't a bunch of other stuff with it carries amino acids with it. The protein is a group of amino acids put together into a sequence and a pattern. It's all it is amino acids. When you take a piece of protein, a protein molecule, it is amino acids. That's what it's made out of. And then once you break them up, it just breaks into the individual amino acids, and there is no protein left. It's not a separate thing. So yes, protein and amino acids are sort of the same thing. It's just that protein is the way that amino acids are arranged. That's the way to look at it. It is made completely of amino acids. It's like saying a brick wall and bricks are not the same thing. Well, actually they are. That brick wall is a bunch of bricks put together. That's what a protein is. It's amino acids that are put together. But it was just ludicrous, absolutely laughable. And he actually went there. But the thing is that he tried to say that science people and the bros need to get together and understand that they're both right. And I don't think he understands the whole thermic effect of food thing, because he was saying, look, you know, bros believe, based upon some old theories, scientific theories, that you get a thermic effect from food, protein being the highest. Now, he's correct on that. And they had speculated years ago that it would speed up your metabolism because you would get more thermic effect from your food from the more frequent feedings. And when the scientists look at that, what they found is that the amount of food you eat affects the thermic effect. In other words, 100 grams of whey protein, right? 100 grams of whey protein has a given thermic effect in the body. And if you were to divide it up into smaller chunks, and let's say you were to consume all 100 grams at one time versus breaking it down into 4 servings of 25, the total thermic effect is still the same. So the impact on your energy turnover is identical. So it's the equivalent of just getting 4 separate small thermic effects that add up to the same thing as a big thermic effect. So the turnover is identical, and that's where the bros get it wrong. And no, they are flat wrong. There is no metabolic increase. Well, where he got crazy with it is that he said that, well, but the thing is, and where the bros are right, is that it does speed your metabolism up when you're dieting, to consume a lot more meals. Why? Because it helps preserve muscle tissue better. But that's not true. There's no basis for that. You're talking about total muscle protein synthesis. Now, if we're going to talk about muscle protein synthesis based upon feedings versus muscle loss, you're still looking at what's going to give you the highest net muscle protein synthesis for the day, because it's going to be how much muscle are you gaining and how much are you losing, because we are all gaining and losing muscle every single day. Absolutely, that's true. You're in a continual process. Every minute of every day you are gaining and losing muscle simultaneously, so it's going to be about your total turnover of it, so it's going to determine what happens at the end of the day. Well, eating every 2 hours doesn't enhance total muscle protein synthesis. It doesn't. If you eat protein or amino acids every 2 hours, it doesn't enhance it beyond a certain threshold. What most of the experts out there who've looked at it have said, depending upon all the variables, so there's a lot of variables, it's not a fixed number, that it can change a little bit, that maximum muscle protein synthesis usually occurs somewhere between 3 and 4 feedings a day. But 3 versus 4 is very, very much dependent upon the individual. Now, it doesn't mean that more are going to hurt you, it's just that you don't see a larger net turnover. And what happens with extended fasting, yes, in extended fasting you do tend to have the possibility to lose more muscle due to the lack of an influx of new amino acids for protein, right? That is what's going on, and that's true. But he used the Kinobody example, and it's not because Kinobody isn't eating every 2 hours, because that's not necessary. Look, if you were to consume a meal with a fair amount of protein in it every 6 or 7 or 8 hours, you will still be fine. Your total muscle protein synthesis turnover will be fine. That's the best you're going to preserve muscle tissue in terms of meal timing, right? That's the best you're going to do. It's because guys like Kinobody are fasting for 16, 17 hours a day. Yeah, you're going to lose some muscle as a result of that potentially. But here's the other thing. You lose muscle on a cut anyways. And what I would challenge someone like Jerry, who's actually going to say, oh, that the more frequent feedings of protein will stop that from happening, and so therefore it will speed up your metabolism, so the bros are right. Where's your evidence for that? Jerry, I dare you to come off all of your drugs, because the drugs are how bros preserve muscle. It's not those meal timings. You come off all your anabolics, go to baseline just TRT, and you try your 6 or 8 meal a day. You do your 8 meal a day protein feedings and you lose 20 pounds, and do a DEXA scan before and after and come back and tell me you don't lose muscle tissue. Guess what? You're going to lose some muscle tissue. You're going to lose some lean mass. It may not be a lot, but you're going to lose some. And no, just because your training is on point, just because your diet's on point, just because you're eating tons of protein, doesn't mean that a little bit of muscle loss doesn't occur with significant fat loss. And the leaner you get, the more pronounced it gets. When you get down to about 10% body fat and you continue to lose body fat beyond that, it is virtually impossible to not lose muscle tissue, barring enough drugs. And yes, higher protein intake does help with that. It absolutely helps with that, but it will not completely stop it. It doesn't completely stop it because the body will sacrifice muscle tissue. When you gain fat, you gain muscle no matter what. When you lose fat, unless you're a novice or there's new drugs in the mix or something else happening, you tend to lose a little bit of muscle when you lose fat, no matter what you do. Just like you gain muscle when you gain fat, even if you don't lift weights. The calorie deficit and surplus tends to cause tissue gains or losses. Now, there are short-term ways around that. There are things that can be done to offset that and cause the opposite. In other words, novice lifters who are very fat can lose fat while gaining muscle at the same time early on. People who introduce drugs can. Sometimes people who have muscle memory or something going on can experience recomp for short periods of time. But unless you are losing body fat very, very, very slowly, and I mean very slow, you're going to lose muscle tissue unless you're pretty obese. That's just the way it works. And there hasn't been a workaround. And there is no studies out there showing that eating protein every 2 hours versus eating 3 or 4 meals a day with the same amount of net protein has ever caused less muscle loss. So he's being completely absurd, and he's just making stuff up to say, well, see, technically the bros are right. The science people are right because, yeah, there's no exothermic effect, but the bros are also right because it does speed up metabolism, because eating protein or amino acids, which he's trying to sell amino acids, there's what it comes down to. So he can sell his amino acid supplements for you to take every 2 hours, that he's trying to claim that the bros are right, that will preserve muscle tissue. but there's no evidence for that. We got to come back to the science and say, okay, how many studies have looked at this? Do you have proof of this? Well, you don't. You don't. And we do know that protein overfeeding preserves muscle tissue better than not doing it. It does do a much better job of it, and that I will agree with. That's one reason I'm eating right now while I'm cutting, because I'm down 46 pounds. Yes, I eat 300 plus grams of protein a day. I'm going to continue to do so because that does help preserve muscle tissue. But you're not going to stop it completely. You lose 20 pounds of body weight, again, barring a few circumstances like throwing extra drugs in the mix or being a novice lifter who's overweight, you're going to experience a little bit of lean tissue loss. It is unavoidable. And these higher frequencies are not going to stop it. So Jerry is just being crazy, talking out of his ass, saying absurd things about protein, amino acids, meal timing, trying to claim the bros and the science guys who actually have data on this are both right, even though they're disagreeing. And at the end of the day, it's ultimately about him just being able to sell some more amino acid supplements to people. I think that's all it's about. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.